Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Almost 7 weeks ago now, we applied 3 different tire dressings to my Kia EV6 to see if you should purchase long-term tire protection dressings or if you should stick with my personal favorite, CarPro Pearl. In today's video, we're going to be showing you how these tires are holding up exactly 47 days after installation. Again, nearly 7 weeks, to see how these are looking and to see if they live up to their durability claims. Welcome back and let's jump into it. Before we jump into today's video showing you what these tire dressings actually look like on a daily driven vehicle almost 7 weeks or exactly 47 days later after application, I want to quickly walk you through the first 2 videos. If you haven't seen those, maybe you stumbled across this video. In the first video, we went through, talked about all of these products, talked about why CarPro Pearl was one of my favorite tire dressings on the market, being that it's very economical, very dilutable, but one of the biggest negatives with it, it doesn't necessarily last that long. That's where Clean by Pan's tire dressing as well as CarPro Dark Side come in. These both promise a little bit longer term tire dressings on there. These are really meant to be thought about like a tire sealant, not a tire coating, not just a tire dressing, but really more like tire sealants. So in the first video, we applied them, gave you my first initial impressions. CarPro Pearl was my favorite on how it applied. Goes on very nice, gives a nice dull, clean look, especially when you use it diluted like I do on 1 to 3. You can always dial that up, dial it down, anywhere in between. These 2 products are meant to be used straight, so they kind of give a one even look. But my big issue with it, it was a little bit too shiny in my personal opinion. What I've actually found since filming that first video using both of these products is I like to apply it and then actually knock it down with a microfiber towel exactly like I do with CarPro Pearl, and I've been more reasonably happy with the products. In video 2, we came back 2 weeks later and actually washed the wheels, cleaned up the tires, and saw how they look in terms of hydrophobics. That's one of the things both of these 2 products here actually promise is hydrophobics and that longer term durability. Overall, in that video, still impressed with CarPro Pearl, pretty darn impressed with Clean by Pan the Organizer's tire dressing here, and I would say honestly the least impressed with CarPro Dark Side. One of the things that I don't love about most tire dressings out there is after you apply them, they sit on the tire a little bit, they start to accumulate dirt. Both of these products, rubbing my hand on it on a completely dry to the touch wheel, dry hand, actually left quite a bit of residue on my hand, which was kind of surprising to say the least. So I wasn't super impressed with that. So I've been living with this car. We've been through rain. You can see that the tires will have some dirt on them. I parked in a dirt parking lot, went through like 100 yards of it, parked the car, went and did our thing, came back, drove out. That's really what this car has had on it. So we're going to jump in here, see how these tires are looking, talk about the durability claims. Again, remember, these don't really have a durability claim. This is up to 1 month, so we're far surpassed that. But this is up to 3+ months durability, and I'll think you'll be surprised with how all of these are actually looking. So what we're going to do now, I want to walk around here. I want to show you how the tires are looking, get kind of a feel for them, compare them to each other. Then after this, we're going to come through and actually clean the tires. Now, I think what we're going to use is something just like Simple Green on here. I don't want to try and strip the tire dressings off, but I just want to see if a lot of that browning will actually come out of them, check out the hydrophobics and see if they're still lasting, or maybe they just have a little bit of dirt and grime on them. So first up here, we have Clean by Pan the Organizer's tire dressing. And as you can see, the tires are actually, honestly, still looking pretty decent. You can see on the edges here where we hit some clumps of dirt just going through that kind of off-road situation, not really off-road, just literally into a dirt parking lot. And these are actually looking okay. You can see on the edge here, picking up quite a bit of dirt. I would not call this great, honestly, but it looks okay, I would say. This to me is kind of at the point where I would say, okay, I would come in here, clean this tire down, strip the old tire dressing off, and then probably reapply. But I want to check out here, if I put my finger across here, still a lot of that dirt and grime coming off. That is one thing I'm really not impressed with Clean by Pan as well as CarPro Dark Side. Now we'll have the opportunity again to see how the CarPro Pearl is looking, but you can see even as I do this, you can really see that dressing kind of building up, and it is, yeah, Not loving that, to say the least. Interesting stuff going on here. Again, what I'm really curious about after we clean this, will the tire kind of clean up quite a bit and strip this kind of top initial layer off, and then what will it look like underneath? Will it go back to being this brown, or will it have a nice kind of dressing all the way around it? We'll be curious to check that out. Moving back here to CarPro Dark Side. Now this, honestly, in the test has been my least favorite product, but I gotta say, honestly, looking pretty much exactly the same as Clean by Pan up there. So you can see still some of that dirt up there in the lip of the rim here. Let's wipe this. Wow, can really feel a lot on there as well. So again, I really don't like that. You can see it's literally kind of pulling off there. Yikes. That's kind of weird. Again, when we did all of these, we cleaned all the tires exactly the same way, used the same kind of application techniques throughout them, exactly how they said on the bottle. Interesting stuff going on here. Again, same thing going on. I would say at this point, I would probably try and clean this and then actually reapply a tire dressing. It is nice and dull in most areas, but again, kind of that piling that's coming up here is very strange, to say the least. Kind of gross. Don't really love that. Coming over here to CarPro Pearl. Again, in this bottle, we used a 1:3 dilution on here. And I would definitely tell you guys, this tire looks the worst out of all of them in our, 47-day test we've done here. Let's check out how this is doing. So if I wipe my finger across this, you'll see a little bit's coming off. Let's try and get a little bit more on there. So still getting a little bit of dirt and grime. Interestingly enough, it looks like more of this browning's coming off, where this, to me, I know this isn't necessarily scientific, but you can definitely tell how it was kind of piling up off of the tire on the CarPro Dark Side, and then kind of this very greasy mess coming off of Clean by Pan. This is definitely attracting the least amount of dirt, but this tire also looks the most dirty, if you will. I hope that makes sense, because I'm starting to notice the tire dressing here is basically gone, and that's what I would expect from CarPro Pearl. For me, all of these tires though, what I would go in and do, like I said before, go in there, clean them, reapply it. All right guys, let's start off here with the Clean by Pan tire dressing. Now, we're using Simple Green here, 1:1. The reason behind this, I'm not trying to kill these tire dressings. I'm not gonna come in here with something like CarPro Retire, which is meant to strip tire dressings off, because I truly wanna see if I can actually clean these up and they'll actually kind of come back a little bit, or if they're totally dead and actually at the point where we need to reapply it. I've also got a wheel bucket off camera here, filled with some nice pH neutral soap. So let's get to cleaning. Now what I'm gonna do first off on these, I'm gonna spray down the face of the wheels as well as the tires. We'll get an idea for the hydrophobics on here, see how it does cleaning that. We'll come in here with our Simple Green, scrub them exactly the same, dry them, and see how they're actually looking. Wow, so immediately already noticed the areas there that had the kind of dirt on the edges, almost perfectly clean actually here. Can see how nice this is beating up as well. That's actually really impressive, to say the least. So first impression starting off here, this is looking pretty good. I'm curious to see what the other two are gonna do. Again, I have a feeling CarPro Pearl is completely done, but this will give us a good idea. So we're gonna come in here with our Simple Green. There we go, get it spraying. Basically gonna lather the tire down here. Then I'm going to come in here with my tire scrubbing brush. And we're gonna clean this up. Now, importantly, this isn't a dedicated tire cleaner, but you would still see some browning starting to come off of here. These actually look pretty darn good. Not seeing a ton of that dark grime coming off here. Even when I put my finger over it the first time, didn't pull a lot of that off. So that's actually pretty darn impressive. Boom, and I think that's pretty good. Let's rinse this off. So immediately can tell the tire dressing is still going, so that's good to see. Again, this product is only rated at up to 1 month durability, and it seems to be working pretty darn nice here. So maybe I was a little too early to jump the gun in saying that this product wasn't looking good and I would clean it and reapply it. I'll be really curious to see what this looks like after we dry it. Well, totally my bad here. I forgot to press start on recording. So I've already rinsed the tire off. Quickly want to show you what the hydrophobics look like here. And again, we'll come in with some Simple Green. So what I can tell you that I saw on here when I thought I was recording, again, apologies for that. It's just kind of the nature of filming by yourself. Should have checked it one more time. What I noticed here, all that dirt, when I immediately rinsed it off, very similar to Clean by Pan, how it just, boom, came right off. When I rubbed my finger over it a little bit, I did still get a little bit of dirt and grime on there, but let's see how this is looking after we go in with some Simple Green and scrub this down. So kind of the same nature there as the Clean by Pan. When I'm scrubbing this, you'll see all this white foam on here, maybe a little bit of this browning around here. Not too terribly bad though. So yeah, let's go in here and rinse this down. Hydrophobics there, definitely still remaining. Man, I really think I may have jumped the gun on these two, and maybe they just needed a pure clean. Now I have a feeling once we get over to the CarPro Pearl, after we do that, we're probably going to see no hydrophobics there. The tire's still going to look a little bit brown, and it's really going to request another application of tire dressing. This so far, man, all of that dirt and grime that we had on there before feels perfectly clean now. So that is really nice to see. Clean by Pan, very much the same way. So maybe this test isn't over. Let's jump over to CarPro Pearl. Moving over here to the driver's rear tire. Again, this is by far and away the worst looking tire here. Not really much of that sheen coming through, definitely looks the dirtiest. The interesting thing though, as you remember, as I wipe my finger on that, it has the least amount of that kind of tire dressing coming off of it, if you will. So I'm very curious to see if when I clean this up, if it'll be completely gone, the tire will kind of turn brown after we dry it, see how that looks. That would indicate the tire dressing's pretty much dead, ready for reapplication. Where the other two, I'm not thinking that's necessarily the case. You guys are seeing this real time of how I find it out. And yes, we are recording this time. Again, really apologize for doing that. You know what though? Still seeing some nice hydrophobics. What I'm not seeing though that the other two tire dressings, tire sealants did, this edge around here as well as some of on the sides, still looking a little dingy, if you will, where basically my first rinse on the other two, almost perfectly clean. So I'm very curious to see what Simple Green does on here. And we'll scrub this down. So looking at this, I would say it looks honestly pretty comparable. Maybe a little bit more dirt coming off, especially in this rim edge, as I can definitely see it. You guys probably can't there, but definitely, yeah, a little bit of dirt and grime coming off there. So definitely still would say this was the dirtiest tire in terms of dirt, not the actual tire dressing. So for sure, I can tell you this has the worst hydrophobics on here. You can start to see some areas that are starting to sheet. Honestly though, the tire looks really clean now. If I rub my hand over this, no dirt and grime coming off of it, which is great. I don't know. It's still looking okay. The biggest test though is when we dry these, let's come back, check them out. We'll take a brand new clean microfiber towel on them, wipe it and see what kind of dirt and grime comes off and kind of give you a visual overview of how the tires are actually looking. Clean by Pan here. This is looking very clean, I would say. Very, very clean. You can see some of those edges. Okay, maybe I missed that in there because down here it's looking pretty good. Overall though, I'd say that tire is looking pretty darn clean. Now I would also say this is probably at the point where I would go in here with a little bit more aggressive tire and rubber cleaner, really clean this up, and then probably reapply another application of the tire dressing here. Overall though, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with this because this is really only up to 1 month durability, or so Pan claims. And I would say this actually looks really, really nice. Be curious to see what it looks like towards the other tires. So I think if 1 month durability claim, it looks like this after almost 7 weeks, I think we're looking pretty darn good there. Coming back here to CarPro Dark Side, let's check this one out. And I would tell you guys that this looks a little dirtier in certain areas. Just got more of this kind of brown tinge to it, where that just has a nice dark even black all the way through. Again, compared to the tread in there, I would say this is at the point where definitely needs to be stripped and reapplied. Again, the big disappointment here is how they claim on here 3+ months durability. This is probably seen at this point maybe 2, maybe 3 rainstorms if I remember right. Again, a light dirt parking lot. That's not that impressive for a long-term protection tire dressing. So yeah, I would say at this point still needs to get reapplied and fully cleaned, but pretty impressive nonetheless. Moving over here to CarPro Pearl, and let's check this out. So yeah, I can definitely tell you this one is looking the worst of the bunch, which I really expected it to be. Can still see in there, got some dirt and grime all around the rim, especially on the edges. Very, very dull, very much due for another tire dressing. You can definitely see some of that tire blooming starting to come out of here. So I would definitely call this one completely dead. No doubt about that whatsoever. So guys, I want to finish off this video here talking you through the winner, which one I would not choose, and which is going to be my dedicated go-to tire dressing for the foreseeable future until I figure out something that's actually better. Now, I want you to keep in mind there is a lot of opinions that go into reviewing this, because I prefer a tire that looks just clean and very undressed, if you will, that just looks very natural. You may love how CarPro Darkside looks. You may love how Clean by Pan tire dressing looks. You may love how CarPro Pearl looks 1-to-1 or even completely undiluted. That is totally okay to have different opinions. Just because I have an opinion here doesn't mean it is better than yours, doesn't mean you have to take my recommendations. My biggest recommendation is enjoy keeping your car clean and use the products you love using. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, I would say my least favorite throughout this entire test, CarPro Darkside. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. The annoyance at the start with not having a actual pump that fits properly into the bottle is a big miss for me. Me having to cut it after I've shoved it in there, crimp that without even knowing that actually happened, making a mess of me, myself, all of that stuff. That kind of stuff should just like be figured out. A lot of you have said you need to have a more kind of topper like Pans does, where you can just spread it onto your applicator here instead of this pump style. I would totally agree, but why do I have to go do that? Why doesn't CarPro do that? So that's a small little thing that annoys me about that product. I get that way with a lot of products when triggers stop working, when they don't last, or stuff breaks like that. That's really annoying. I just think like, hey, if I'm paying a lot of money for a product, now this isn't super expensive, it should come with what I actually need to actually use that product instead of me having to go search for it. I hope that makes sense. But the biggest thing that I don't love about this product is really the application and the look afterwards. It goes on very thick. It's kind of this almost honey-like substance, and you still feel that down the road. This bottle has been leaking since day one here, and as I touch this, it is just this sticky, gooey stuff. And that to me is telling me, which exactly we saw here, a lot of dirt and grime is going to build up on that tire. I just don't love the look of this. So the other thing that really I'm not impressed by is their 3+ month durability claim. I personally think the only real way to test protection products is to actually put it on a car, actually daily drive it, and actually see what it does. I'm all for the tests where you apply a tire dressing or a tire coating to a hood and spray a bunch of chemicals on it and go, this one's better than that one. I am a big believer though that putting it on a car that's in the real world, that's actually being used, is actually the way to test products. So that's how I'm going to continue to do it for the foreseeable future here on this channel. So this to me, yeah, just not really impressed. Again, just 47 days after we applied it here. I know, very, very specific. That tire to me still looks dirtier than the Clean by Pan one up here. It does look better than the CarPro Pearl, but to me it's at that point, needs to be stripped, needs to be reapplied. So over here, we have Clean by Pan's tire dressing, which I am actually going to say is the winner of this particular test. Really impressed with using this product a little bit more after my initial feelings of it. What I found the best way to use this product is, if you are a weirdo like me and like to have just a very clean tire, say what you want, is really to use the knockdown technique. Basically apply it with your preferred applicator, wait 10 to 15 minutes, knock it down with a microfiber applicator, and boom, you're good to go. Now the reason I'm awarding this the best out of all of these for this particular test is the tire looks the best. It cleaned up very nicely. It still looks the best out of all of the tires here. And it actually has realistic durability claims. Again, Pan only claims up to a month of durability on this product, and I think it didn't necessarily surpass that, but I think you can absolutely get a month out of this without a doubt, no problem. Now, the only negative I have with this particular product is still a little bit of that dirt accumulation on there. That is one thing that I think is just inherent, like I said before, with more of that gel type liquid. But overall, pretty impressed with this product. Now coming over here to CarPro Pearl. Unfortunately for a lot of you guys who are thinking, oh, now I'm gonna go buy this because Colton says this is the best, this is still my favorite. CarPro Pearl for me is just my absolute go-to, and from this test just made me realize how much I absolutely love this product and why I've been using it for so many years. For this test, it was the least good one, but for me as a detailer, it's the one I'm always going to grab. For me, I don't really care if after every other wash I need to reapply a tire dressing. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to do all of the tires. That for me is not a big deal. The thing I really love about this product is its instant gratification. With both of these two products over here, on that initial application, I don't ever feel like I love the look of it. Even though using Clean by Pan and knocking it down looks good, it still, in my opinion, doesn't look as good as CarPro Pearl. Tire shine is one of those things that, for me as a detailer, is one of the absolute last steps I do before a customer picks up their vehicle. So for me, the customer is coming in 15, 20 minutes. I know I can apply CarPro Pearl. It's gonna look perfect. I can knock it down. They can drive it out the door immediately. It's not gonna sling. It's not gonna attract dirt and dust. It's not gonna last as long, but it's also gonna look good. This is a product that I always think about. I talked about this earlier in the video. If you're gonna go to Cars and Coffee, you get up in the morning, your tires are looking nasty, you wanna throw something on there. Instead of putting this and having those very shiny, not perfect looking tires, or even CarPro Dark Side, I'm absolutely gonna take this. So you can totally disagree with me and say, CarPro Pearl doesn't last long enough, I'm gonna use Clean by Pan, or I'm gonna use CarPro Dark Side. Totally cool. Please continue to keep using the products you know and love, but I'm going to continue using CarPro Pearl. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.